All right, enough horsing around. Let's get to your New Year's resolutions from a Talking Basketball. It's actually the year of the horse. I heard that. I don't know if you guys knew that. The pun was not intended, but that's pretty cool. That's my opinion. I listen to a lot of New York City talk radio. Don LaGreca, you're a real one if you're listening to this. And I heard something that it's going to apply to Knicks fans, and I know I always talk about the Knicks. I'm sorry. But it really goes for all sports fans. Leading up to the NBA Cup, I heard that Knicks fans didn't want the Knicks to win the Cup because they didn't want to get made fun of for winning the Cup but not winning the title if that happened. Now, like I said, a lot of fan bases do this, and I'm just going to cut right to the chase. You got to stop caring what other people think. If you're a sports fan, one of your resolutions should just be to not care so much about what fans of other teams think about your team. I don't want someone, I know what to think about my team. I don't need someone from another market to tell me that. Media people need things to talk about. Social media needs things to post about. Just don't read it. You know, it's pretty simple. You watch your team, you have an opinion on them. And I go through this with my favorite football team, which will remain a mystery for now. People would kill to be in your situation, Knicks fans. To all the teams out there that are relevant, that are competing for a championship, that are winning a lot of regular season games and have expectations. Fans of other teams that may be putting you down or trying to make fun of you, they would kill to be as relevant as you. Don't feed into it and just stop caring what other people think. That's your first resolution from a Talking Basketball. We're going to move on to resolution number 2, and this goes for all sports fans and people who consume sports talk, I guess more specifically. I have noticed recently a lot of content about media people arguing, beefing, whatever adjective you want to attach to it. This is the lowest level of entertainment. I don't ever want to make fun of another show on this show because I feel like we're all on the same team. You know, we are building up this thing that is sports that in my mind should be a big tent that should welcome a lot of people and should not be this space where, you know, pundits and people who put on suits and yell about who's better get together in front of microphones and argue with each other about what? Your job is to talk about sports. Once you have an audience that wants to hear you do that, what do you have to, you know, yell at someone else for? It really is the sports industry eating itself alive, and that's present there just as much as it is in terms of sports betting and that whole thing. But this really, honestly, just lowers our IQ as a sports intelligentsia, people. We cannot be watching these beefs. Now, when I say watching these arguments, I'm not referring to something like, and I mentioned this show in our last episode as one that I like and I think you should check out because it's a great show. And also, you don't need me to tell you this, okay? I'm sure you already know about this show. This is not, you know, insider information that I'm saying that Pablo Torre finds out is a really, really great sports show right now. When he had all of his investigations going on about the LA Clippers, he had a number of episodes where he brought on Mark Cuban. Now, guys, that's not a fake beef, okay? Mark Cuban is the owner of an NBA team. That's real. That's a real thing. That's not, you know, two media people yelling at each other about nonsense. So please, we got to stop feeding into this. Like I said before, go for a walk, take a bike ride, right? Do something, go outside. There is no reason to be feeding into this. Now, I was tempted to put this in the Christmas conspiracy episode, but I got to be honest, I'm convinced this is not a conspiracy. I think all of this is true. Stay with me here. The NBA, all leagues, make money through television deals. These networks, they make a lot of money from selling advertisements, among other things, right? But ads is one of them. And the NBA, along with every other league, right, is including more reviews. I believe this is to increase room for ads. And I don't think this is necessarily a hot take. I just want to say it out loud because It's not said out loud enough. We have lived how many decades, people? How many, 100 years without the referee cam? How many pickup games have taken place where there hasn't had to be whose fingertip touched it last in super slow-mo to decide whose ball it is, okay? How many games took place without this nonsense that drags on games into, the early hours of the morning on the East Coast, into the late evening on the West? It's insane. The NBA's resolution from this basketball, free advice, people, you got to include less replays, okay? Because there comes a point where, as a fan, I don't care who touched it last. I don't care who touched it last, honestly, until the playoffs. And even then, if we're talking the early round playoffs, I might, if you're going to make me sit in front of that TV for an extra hour so you can see whose fingernail clipped the ball last, I probably don't care if it's in the early rounds, right? If we're talking conference finals, but there should be a limit to how long these reviews last. But I'm not even, someone who wants to revise the current system. I'm saying get rid of it. It does not matter who touched it last. Let's talk about how the game is refereed by people. If the game is played by people, it should be refereed by people. And anyone who knows ball knows that the calls are going to even out in the long run. Okay, you got screwed tonight and you lost the game as a result. Well, that's part of the game. You're not going to get screwed every single night. If you go into that line of thinking, then you don't know ball. I'm sorry. And I am one, so don't tell me I don't know. No replays at all until we get to like the late rounds of the playoffs. That's how I feel, okay? That's deep in my rubber soul, deep within the hot air that keeps me inflated, how I feel. Now, let's talk practically for a second. I know this is never going to happen, okay? Because like I said, this is how the NBA makes a lot of money. They're obviously increasing the length of games so that they can sell more ads. That's what's going on. And it's not pro-fan. That's my problem with it as well. So in the meantime, we're going to imagine a future where this is possible, because that's all we can do. Now, as an honorable mention to our New Year's ball resolutions for all sports fans, everyone needs to show the referees more respect. Referees love sports too. That's why they're here, and we can't have them without them. I mean, we could, right? Obviously, baseball a number of years ago was talking about robo-umps as a means to solve some issue, right? People are upset about the calls. Who touched first, the ball beat him. If we give into this thinking and we genuinely believe that robots need to make the calls for sports, I think we're losing sight of what we're all doing here, right? We're going to be watching so many more replays. We got to take a timeout here so that the robot can see where the ball landed. It's going to be a worse product if people don't officiate it. We all just need to put more trust in the people who make the calls, because let's be honest, they do a really good job. Most of the time they're right. And when they're wrong, it's like I said, it's part of the game. So honorable mention, you need to be nicer to the referees, but that's just something you should do every day. You should always be nicer to the referees because they're people. Make sure you subscribe to The Picks. I'm going to say it one more time. Subscribe to the show on YouTube if you want to keep listening to the Talking Basketball, and I will see you next time. This is the Talking Basketball of This Ball Does Not Lie, not lying for the final time today.